We're back on your favourite local radio station. It's Alex Belfield talking to one of my favourite people who right now is at the top of your game. I want to talk about life on the road because as glamorous as it may be in front of the curtain, I always do feel a bit sorry that you kind of scuttle off into your car and then have to drive home 5 hours after a gig. How do you accept that come down from the incredible applause you get at the end to just you in a car with Radio 4?
Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question. You just get used to it. It's so sort of part of the job that if you stopped and got hung up about that, I think it could do your head in. But it's just the way it goes. And what we tend to do is drive to the next town and go to the hotel in the next town so that I can have a lie-in. That tends to be the way we do things rather than clutter up a day with travel. But I mean, you know, my tour manager always says we know we're in the right place when we get to theatre if we're by the bins, because that's where the stage door is. So I'm intimate with the bins of most towns and cities in the UK.
When you see that poster and you see you've got to be here, there and the other place for the next year of your life, does it almost intimidate you in a way? Because at the time when you're at your most wealthy and at the top of your game, you can't really enjoy it because you've got to keep working.
I mean, to be completely honest with you, you look at the schedule and you think, could someone at the office please buy a road atlas and figure out that Ipswich isn't that near Bradford? But you get used to that, and I'd rather be working. It's the showbiz thing. Everyone complains when they're not busy, and they complain when they're busy.
And that place you're in now, where you walk out on stage and they know who you are, I look back at your history. I mean, you've done all the crappiest clubs up and down the country.
Yeah, I've played some of the crappiest clubs in the country. Yeah, that's quite true.
And when they don't know who you are, that's really tough, isn't it? Because you've then got to try and impress them. It must be easier now in one way. I know you've still got to deliver.
Yeah, you've got to deliver, but yes, you're 5 paces down the road. You don't have to do the thing, you know. For many years, you have this thing built into your stand-up where you've got to explain what you're doing, and I don't have to do that anymore. Let's
talk about you a bit, because an incredible upbringing.
Wasn't raised by wolves.
No, but I mean, I was raised by a binman. You're the son of a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, if you want. But he's my, I don't think of him like that. He's my dad. It's amazing what people will put on Wikipedia.
So I shouldn't believe it all.
I wouldn't believe much of it.
What was the year that you made it, that you actually felt that it was all worth it?
When I was playing the clubs, there was a year when I think I did something like 350 gigs and the phone didn't stop ringing, and I thought, well, I've got this lick now, I can make a decent living out of it, and it's all ticking over, and I'm starting, I was headlining and I was able to do longer sets and stuff, and that was the year where I thought, well, I kind of know this job now. And then I think probably the second Edinburgh or the third or fourth Edinburgh, I can't remember when, because I had 4 Perrier nominations on the trot, and I think the first Perrier nomination, I think, gosh, that's cool. Wow, they've recognised me for this award, and then they kept coming, and I really felt like I was doing something right. I mean, you can't hang out for awards, and you can't judge yourself by those awards, but it just all seemed, I seem to have got the measure of the job by then, I think. But there's never a point where you think, phew, I'm home and dry, and I don't have to take my foot off the gas.
Was there one gig when you thought, that's it, I've mastered my art, it went well, and I can learn and only move on and get better from here? Or does it not work like that?
It does work like that. There's sort of the 4th Edinburgh show I did a show that was called And a Glass of White Wine for the Lady. And the title in itself kind of, basically I used to really try hard to write shows with lots of things going on in them. And then the 4th year I thought, right, it's time to just forget about that and try and write a very straightforward show full of jokes rather than clever storytelling things and all that sort of thing. And I did that, and that was the best show I'd written up to that point. It was the kind of thing of stripping away some of the built-on flim-flam and making it more direct. And that was the year where I thought, gosh, that's a big breakthrough, and certainly in terms of how to write. And it's all about writing. Being a stand-up is all about writing. It's a writing job,
How do you know that? This is what I find most fascinating, because I watch those morons on X Factor who think that they can sing like Elton or perform like Madonna, and they can't. How do you know you're actually funny?
You find out pretty quickly. Let me tell you that much when you get on stage. Yeah, that's what appealed to me about stand-up in the first place. Is I sort of did acting and stuff at school, and you'd think I really enjoyed it, but the extra appeal of stand-up is you find out pretty quickly how it's going. It's not like doing a play and then never being, for 2 hours a night and them clapping at the end, and then you're not hired again. You think, oh, what happened? If you go on stage and they're not laughing within the first couple of minutes, that's a pretty heavy clue to how you're doing.
How do you feel about those comedians that more or less are actors and are given a script to be funny? Is that almost like going in through the back door?
I think that's cool if that's what they want to do. I mean, I'm never going to knock anyone for taking on doing stand-up, because it's incredibly... when it's bad, it's horrible. When you die, it's bad. And so we all have that kind of understanding amongst each other that when you die, it's horrible. And so I wouldn't... You're not going to get me to... I wouldn't ever say, oh, they shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's interesting that's happening now, because that used to be very much the American model. Way of getting film parts is you get yourself a 12-minute stand-up act and all that. But I very much see being a stand-up as an end in itself.
And what about me borrowing your material?
Oh well, if you can't find anything decent to fit, by all means do. As long as like on Twitter, as long as you credit the retweet.
Oh right, yes, that makes it okay. Yeah. All right, we'll come back next with our remaining moments then with Al Murray. He's the big star touring the UK, and you've got a DVD out, a book out, toilet cleaner,
DVD, a new series on BBC 4, all sorts of things.
Oh, we haven't got time for any of this, have we? Really?
No, probably not. No.
We must press on.
Yeah.
We're back with our remaining moments then with Al Murray today, coming to Bradford tonight. And of course, the thing about you is you're all over the place at the minute. Books, publishing, yes, tick. New DVD out, tick, yes. You've got the new series, an interesting one. I had an email about this the other day. A new programme for BBC 4.
Yeah, that's right. Al Murray's German Adventure. Yeah. Which is a me, not as the pub landlord, me as myself. And some people may have seen Road to Berlin, which is a documentary made a few years ago for Discovery. It's me going to Germany and looking at Germany without talking about mullets, sausages, them having no sense of humour, or World War II, and looking at art, music and culture and literature. And because Germany at one point was the cultural powerhouse of Europe before the disasters of the 20th century befell it. So it's about that really, and what that all adds up to, and what we've taken and what they've taken from us.
It's interesting. I worked there for a few months, and the one word I would just put to the Germans is efficiency. I mean, they don't muck about, do they?
Yes, that's the stereotype that I think is true and fair. That they are super organised, and it's brilliant as well. And it makes you think that our whole kind of like bumbling way of doing things is a bit silly, basically.
I've been reading about this programme you're doing, and it made me wonder whether, as well as having Al Murray Pub Landlord on stage selling out across the UK, fine, tick that box. Yeah. Would you also like us to know that you've got a brain and that isn't you? Is that what this is about, the next step in your career?
Yes and no, really. I mean, I'm in the end, I kind of don't mind what people might think of me. And you'll never catch me writing one of those autobiography books. That will never, ever happen, because I'm not interested, and I know how unreliable my memory is about my own life, so I'm not going to write a memoir. But presenting is a thing that you get offered a lot. Once you become an established name, people are always trying to get you to present stuff. But I only really want to present stuff that I'm interested in. So that's why we've only done a couple of presenting gigs, because until the things came along that and you can get the planets to align to actually get the programme away, it's kind of that thing of I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest. So it was a fascinating journey, really interesting. Germany's huge and beautiful and full of incredible surprises and interesting stuff. And I hope we made a good programme as well. It was one of those occasions, though, where you kind of think, at the end of it, you think, well, I've had a brilliant time. So it's the director's problem now, what this turns out like.
Where's your dream show next, then?
I don't know. I kind of, next year is you touched on my family earlier. Next year is the bicentenary of William Thackeray's birth, and he's my three greats grandfather, and which is about all I know about him, really. It's sort of an interesting thing. So we might try and make a programme next year about him and what not so much about his books, some of which are dry as dust, but about his life and the world he inhabited, because he was like a media player from the 1840s is the best way of looking at him. And so he's an interesting character. So we're trying to get something away about that. But like I say, the planets have to align to get a TV programme away. It's not as simple as saying, hey, I'm Al Murray and I want to make a programme about this thing I'm interested in.
The one thing I really admire about you is the fact that you don't talk very often. I know I'm contradicting myself because I'm talking to you now for half an hour. I mean, we're not going to see you doing a Piers real story or anything like that.
No,
you
definitely
really
not.
do pride yourself on your privacy, and that's what the old stars used to do.
Well, I'm not interested in anyone being interested in I'm a, you know, it's this thing. When I'm interested in an artist, I'm interested in their work, you know, and the thing I want to present to people is the stand-up I do, and then maybe these other programs and the books I've written and the DVDs we've done and stuff like that. That's what's on offer. Me isn't on offer, and I don't see. I'm kind of a bit puzzled as to why anyone would want to know anything about me. I kind of don't. I'm not. You know. I think Peter Kay, for instance, is a brilliant comic, but I'm not interested in his life.
And we've got Jordan on tomorrow, of course. She's got autobiography number 7 out. She's only 31. It's curious, isn't it?
How's that possible? I mean, good luck to everybody. And you know, we're in this sort of postmodern age. All forms of artistic endeavour are equal. But by the same virtue, I don't want to write 5 autobiographies. I don't want to write one.
No. Very finally, the guest list for the TV show is an interesting one. I wonder whether comedians work so well with the pub landlord because, of course, he's got to be the smart ass that has the last laugh.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, you look at who's in town and what they've got, and then you hope you can book an astronaut because they're really interesting.
Well, good luck with that one. And very finally, I must ask you, of course, about the adorable Jane McDonald. Of course, this is a lady who just thinks you're tremendous.
Oh, the lovely Jane McDonald. Yeah, well, she's terrific value, isn't she? I think she's fab. She's sort of that kind of cruise ship showbiz. I think is really awesome.
Well, not taking yourself too seriously and knowing what you're there for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She was a little tipsy during your last audience with, and I think she showed her true feelings towards you, Al.
Yes, possibly. Yeah.
Could you ever be tempted?
No. But I mean that respectfully.
Listen, you're coming to Bradford tonight, and I'm going to be there, and I'm so looking forward to it. Your last show, as all these are more or less sellouts across the country. There's the last few tickets available, and people handing back a few, and I'm always curious about that. But there's a lot of illness around, so that's good. As long as you don't lose out, that's all I'm worried about. I ought to be your accountant. I suppose that's what you got to worry about. Are you like me, walking around like this at this time of year so you don't catch anything?
Actually, yes, and I'm supposed to be going for a flu jab at some point, which I kind of
do it.
I know. Well, the last one made me feel.
You'll take to your bed for a week wearing a turban. You don't want that. Hey, listen, great to talk to you.
Likewise, thanks very much.
Great to talk to you. Al Murray is a big star. What's your website so we can find out about the TV show, the book, the DVD and the tour?
www. That's the bit everyone knows, thepublandlord.com.
Very nice. Al Murray, always nice to talk to you, and I'll see you tonight in Bradford.
Likewise, yeah, magic, thanks.